everyone, and welcome to the December 4th meeting of the Danville School Board. We appreciate you being here with us this evening. I call the meeting to order, and I will ask Ms. Jordan to call the roll, please.
Ms. Bryant.
Here.
Dr. Campbell.
Present.
Ms. Downs.
Here.
Mr. Gould.
Here.
Mrs. Hall.
Here.
Ms. Hughes.
Here.
Dr. Polhamus.
Here. You have an agenda before you. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Dr. Campbell with a second from Ms. Hall to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion? All right, then let's call the roll, please.
Ms. Downs.
Yes.
Ms. Bryant.
Yes.
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Hall.
Yes.
Ms. Hughes.
Yes.
Dr. Polhamus.
Yes.
Mr. Gould.
Yes.
Very good. We now turn to our Vice Chair, Ms. Terri Hall, for the invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, this evening we seek your wisdom, guidance, courage, and strength. Give us each insight to lead with integrity, that our decisions may reflect the good of all those who have placed their trust and confidence in our leadership. Keep us from short-sightedness, pettiness, and self-interest. Help us make decisions that strive for the good of all, and grant us the humility to always seek your will in all we do and say. In your loving name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We now move to the approval of our minutes from the month of November. There were several meetings in November, including the regular meeting on the 6th, the discipline meeting on the 10th, work session on the 17th, and a special meeting on the 24th. What is your pleasure on the minutes?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve.
Second.
Thank you, Dr. Campbell on the motion, Ms. Hughes for the second. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask Ms. Jordan to call the roll.
Ms. Bryant.
Yes.
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mrs. Hall.
Yes.
Ms. Hughes.
Yes.
Dr. Polhamus.
Yes.
Mr. Gould.
Yes.
Ms. Downs.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We now move to the consent item. We only have the one item, which would be the recommendations from the disciplinary hearing panel. Is there any request to pull any of those cases for discussion in closed session later this evening? Seeing none, what is your pleasure then on the consent items?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion there from Dr. Campbell, and I believe I heard Ms. Downs for the second. Any discussion? All right, then let's call the roll again. Ms. Jordan?
Mrs. Hall.
Yes.
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Ms. Hughes.
Yes.
Dr. Polhamus.
Yes.
Mr. Gould.
Yes.
Ms. Downs.
Yes.
Ms. Bryant.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We now come to what is usually our favorite part of each monthly meeting, when we get to recognize various folks from within Danville Public Schools who have accomplished wonderful things and to whom we want to give appropriate public recognition. So I'm going to turn this to Ms. Smith, our instruction department leader, and let her give you the information.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. I would like to ask that Mark Bryant, the coach, and Nancy Schomer, the coach, please join me up front, please. Tonight we recognize Galileo Cross Country for making strides in their second year. From hands-drawn logos on white t-shirts to a ninth place state finish, it is amazing what a difference 2 years makes. The Galileo High School Falcon Cross Country team was established in the fall of 2013 with 7 boys and 2 girls. In this inaugural season, the young team took their lumps as they finished last consistently until the Conference 44 championships. This event marked a turning point as Galileo finished 5th out of the 6 teams based on their hard work throughout the season. Coaches Mark Bryant and Nancy Schomer recruited more runners in the spring of 2014 and instituted a rigorous summer workout schedule to prepare the team for their second season. With 13 boys and 6 girls now on the roster, the Greater Danville Jamboree would offer a small peek of what was to come for the Falcons. Freshman Henry Stevens would win the event for the boys while leading the team to a 5th place finish out of 9 area high schools. The senior leadership continued a strong work ethic displayed throughout the season that paid off on October the 7th in South Boston as the Falcons earned their first team victory. The Conference 44 championships finalized the transformation as the boys had 3 medalists, including Conference runner-up of the year Henry Stevens in 1st place. This success continued at the 1A East Regionals, where the Falcons finished 6th out of 26 teams to qualify for 1A state competition. At states, the Falcons put an exclamation mark on a great season with a 9th place finish, highlighted by Henry Stevens' 9th place individual medalist honors. Mr. Lancaster said Galileo's success in such a brief time is threefold. First, the coaching staff has been amazing. The dedication that Mr. Bryant and Mrs. Schomer have demonstrated to the student athletes at Galileo is inspiring. And second, the parental support has been tremendous. From flipping pancakes to bringing Gatorades to practice, the parents are awesome. Finally, the student athletes have brought into the concept that the benefits of hard work doesn't always pay off in the short term, but as in life, you are creating the foundation to a more desirable long-term result. And tonight, I would like to congratulate our team, and I understand that some of the team members are here on tonight, but first, let's give them a round of applause, and let's let the coaches introduce their staff. At this time, I'll ask Mark and Nancy if you'll introduce team members that are here to the board.
We have one of our senior captains, Eric Eusebio, who was our 2nd fastest runner this year and ran a personal best time of 18 minutes and 53 seconds, I believe. Yeah. I also have another senior captain, David Kinder. David was our 6th man this year, sometimes our 7th, but he received our leadership award at our awards banquet for the wonderful leadership he provided in spurring us to greater gains this year. Next is our 3rd and final men's captain is Josh Francisco. Josh is probably the most passionate runner on the team, and his work ethic has rubbed off on others. And Josh is one of the favorite people in practice every day. Sophomore Angelo Lamoth transferred here from Ohio, and so he got to experience firsthand and help us reach higher gains as well. And without him, we couldn't have been who we were. Lastly is freshman Henry Stevens, the 9th best runner in 1A state, the Conference 44 runner of the year, and the Jamboree champion, as well as runner-up at the All-Metro competition. Thank you.
Before you folks sit down, would you please come up here and let us shake your hands and then line up in front of us and face the audience and let all these parents get pictures. Let's get Mr. Lancaster also and the coaches to join them up here for the picture session. Well done, folks.
Congratulations.
Great job.
Congratulations.
Excellent. We appreciate all you've done. Very well done, sir. Very well done.
Mr. President, you have a brother.
So well done. We really appreciate it, Mark.
Thank you. Congratulations. She's only a little red. Congratulations. I have something to say before they leave.
All right, and we know that you folks may well have homework or something to get to, but before you slip out, I know at least one of our board members wants to make some personal comments to these wonderful athletes, the Falcons from Galileo. Ms. Hughes.
I just want to say admire you so much for your courage in doing what you do. I used to run, but I was a sprinter. I used to get tired when they told me to run across the field, let alone try to run cross country. And I know what it takes to have that endurance and that courage, and I just really appreciate what you do and how you represent Danville Public Schools wherever you go. Thank you.
And lest anyone think that this is the only successful athletic endeavor in Danville Public Schools, there will be another major recognition at our January meeting from that other high school in town. So thank you, Falcons, Mr. Lancaster, coaches, and the students from Galileo. We now come to the portion of our program that is open for public comments. There was no one signed in when I checked it a few minutes before we started, but if there is someone who would like to address the board, this would be the appropriate time. Yes, sir. Please come ahead.
How y'all doing?
Good evening.
I'm Mark Daddy. I'm a parent. I got a child at George Washington High School. I'm coming here pertaining to the basketball program. That we run into some problems right now, and it's a major concern of mine because it affecting the seniors over there. And my daughter, she's a senior, and as me being a parent, I'm very concerned about it. It's been going on for a long time. You know, when she was in junior high school, and then it's really escalating. And I really don't know how to say it, but I'm gonna say it the way I'm an old school man. I was in the Marine Corps, so it's a cluster. And I think y'all need to sit down and try to fix that system over there, because it's a stressful thing to seniors, and for them to have to go through this on their senior, it's tremendous stress. You put a coach in place, and right before the season starts, well, I'm going to go back from the last season. It all started last season, that you got a principal and you got a athletic director. They wait till the last minute to get a coach, and the coach come in 2 to 3 weeks before the season starts. He don't know his players. And furthermore, he don't have no assistant coach to help him out. And you can't be successful like that. You wait till the last minute to hire someone. And you have plenty of qualified coaches in the city of Danville to coach. But we are looking outward before we look inside our city. And they got a good coach now, but his hands are tied because you bring him in the last minute. And now his hands are really tied because he got to run 2 programs, the JV and the varsity. And it's real stressful to him. I saw him go through that a lot last year. And I don't want him to go through that this year because he's a good coach. So I don't know what corresponds for them to fire the JV girls coach. I don't know what happened. And, you know, so y'all need to look into that. Stress is a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. And for my daughter to go through it, I'm not going to allow that. I'm not going to allow it. So this is not the last time you're going to hear from me, okay? I expect something to be done about it. I don't expect to be swept up on the rug about it because I was asked to come to a meeting back in July last year about the Booster Club because how the girls were being treated by the Booster Club. The boys was getting everything and the girls was getting left behind. And 3 people was in the meeting, Miss Kirby, Principal Jackson, and Miss Shelton. And not to this day, not one of them have got back with the 4 parents that was there about the meeting. And Ms. Kirby was the main one that told us that she would get back with us. And she have never got back with us as of today. And I think that's unprofessional for her to do that to four parents that was concerned about it.
Thank you for coming forth this evening, and while the issues of hiring coaches really reside within the individual school, it certainly affects the entire division, and so I will promise to you this evening that we will make certain that the appropriate officials in the central office as well as George Washington High School look into that thoroughly immediately.
Well, I'm just letting you know, I'm going to be a pest about it.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm going to be a pest about it because I know most of the girls because they play with me during the summertime. And my daughter, she's a pest when it comes to basketball, trust me. And her friends beside they are pests. And I wouldn't come if they didn't get good grades, trust me, because I stress the grades. And but I see everybody in damn it. If I see y'all in town, I'm gonna say something to you if nothing being done about it. And then I'm being straight up with you. If I can't get it done through the board, there's someone else I can go to get it done with. And I don't mind taking them steps. I already took one step. I talked to Ms. Whittle. And I didn't want to go over her head, so I went to her first. Because I was concerned about it, because you had good qualified coaches in there, and then you wait till the day, a week before the season starts, and you fire the coach. After you do what you're supposed to do, then you fire him. But if you hire a coach and then you fire him, you should already did your job before you hire him. You shouldn't hire him and then a week before the season starts, then you fire him because you said something came up. You're supposed to do all your work before you hire a person.
We certainly understand all of that, and we cannot deal with
I know you can't deal with
personnel
it.
issues.
I know that. And to be honest, I hate to be cut off. You know, I think that's real disrespectful to be cut off when you're talking, because I wouldn't do that to you. And nowhere in life I would never cut you off. I would wait till you finish before I cut you off. Okay? You know, it made me feel like you don't want to hear my opinion, you know, about it, or what I gotta say. You want me to let it go, and I don't appreciate that. So I'm holding you accountable for getting things done. Your left and right hand, they are your left and right hand, but I'm holding you responsible for getting action going to find out what's going on about this program over at GDAP, because it's broke. It's 100% broke. I have another child coming in the same system over there, and I would like for it to get fixed before it get any worse, because I pay my taxes, and I would like for something to get done about it. So please, whatever you do, don't push me up on the rug. All right? All right? I'm holding you accountable for it. Now, do y'all want to say something? I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And let me just clarify that my response to you.
I got one more prayer. You want to say anything?
My response to you was simply to be a little cautious that we didn't get into something in a public meeting that's in the realm of personnel. And there was no intent then, nor will there be in the future, to push anything under the rug. And I will indeed ensure that something is done to investigate this thoroughly and promptly. And we thank you for your support of your child and the other children involved in the programs at George Washington High School. And we thank you for taking the time from your life to make sure that the board is aware of your concerns.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Make sure you have contact information. Make sure you have contact information. I can get in touch with you.
Do we have?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have. All right. Others who might care to speak to the board this evening? All right, then we will close our public comments portion and move on down the agenda. Next item I see would be a report from Dr. Osborne on the precision machining collaboration with Danville Community College. Dr. Osborne.
Thank you. In the field of 21st century machining and technology, Southside residents already have at their disposal a major machining program at Danville Community College. and a significant push toward industrial programs and recruitment by local economic developers. The machining program at DCC currently trains students on various machines in their own campus machining lab. Students learn to operate some of the most state-of-the-art high-tech equipment in the world, acquiring skills they will need to work for some of the most cutting-edge industries across the nation. As DCC began expanding its current precision machining programs to include a joint venture with the Institute for Advanced Learning and Research, there was a significant desire to include Danville Public Schools in these discussions about future opportunities for our students. DCC President Mr. Bruce Sissom reached out to us to begin the conversation about how we can collaborate to provide additional learning opportunities for our students, and to talk about how real-world training and on-the-job experiences can be brought to students at the high school level in our area. Staff visited precision machining programs at DCC and at the Careers Center in Pennsylvania County Schools. It became clear to us that this opportunity would be a significant one to help prepare our students not only for a leg up into college, but real-world career training that would be for high-paying jobs in an ever-expanding market, with jobs that can easily begin at $24 an hour. We believe that this is a significant next step to prepare our students to be successful in their lives. We are moving forward with this initiative with the goal of having our first students enroll this spring for the fall of 2015 classes. We have determined the optimal location for this program is on the George Washington High School campus, and we are currently finalizing details concerning costs, staffing, and potential student numbers. Once funding is in place, we will need to move ahead quickly, and we want to make sure that we are ready with all of our components in place. This is an exciting opportunity for us, and we are moving forward as quickly as time allows.
Excellent. Are there questions or comments from the board on this new program for Danville Public Schools? Well, I will certainly comment, because for at least 70 years, the machining program at Danville Community College has been the class program up and down the East Coast. Even back in the late 40s and early 50s, students from Maine to Florida came to Danville for the old machine shop program in the castle, if you happen to remember that now gone historic building on the campus. And in later years, there have been as many as 40 graduates coming out of that program each and every year who have 2 or 3 job offers each at hourly wages that are absolutely unbelievable for just 2 years beyond high school. They have skills that can take them anywhere in the world to utilize in all kinds of industries. And the college has not sat there idly with the same program. They have kept upgrading. It is now heavily into CMC, which stands for Computer Numerical Control Machines. It's turned from the old oily shop floor type job into a very space age, high-tech, clean room kind of high-tech job. And so we are very excited. I'm certainly excited that we'll have an opportunity where high school students can, across their last 2 years of high school, get the equivalent, the exact same courses of the first year on the community college campus, so that after graduation, they could take 1 year at the community college and go straight into those kinds of jobs before they hit age 20, which is just astounding. So I have been one who's been pushing very hard to keep this moving forward, and I am eager to see it come to reality by next fall's first day of school. Other comments from the board? All right, then we thank you and we trust you'll keep moving forward.
You bet.
All right, then let's see what we've got next here. Oh yes, update on the superintendent search. Did I skip policy?
You just skipped right over
My
top of me,
heavens.
Dr. Polhamus.
Of all the things to skip, Ms. Bryant, I am so sorry. Let's back up and let Ms. Bryant bring us up to speed on the first reading of Section 2000 of our policy manual, Student Services. Ms. Bryant.
I'll try to keep it short so we can get on. It's a lengthy section, but there were very few changes in policy, and the ones that were changed mostly came from the State Department as new policies or new additions to policies. Not going to read every one. I'm just going to try to briefly hit the highlights of the changes. And I will start with Policy 2020, which is school attendance areas, and the only additions we made were the legal references and the cross-references to our own policies. Moving on, I hope I can do this correctly. The next policy that had some changes were 2070, student absences, excuses, dismissals, and withdrawals. And in the policy, there had been the name of or the position name, Student Assistance Coordinator, and we don't have that position any longer. We have the position of Student Assistance Specialist. So we inserted the Student Assistance Specialist where it said Student Assistant Coordinator. We also replaced Coordinator of Student Support Services, where we had a different position name. So that the strikeouts were one title and the additions were another title. Moving on, we had a policy 2080.01 that was Bullying or Gang Activity Association, and the State Department sent us a new policy that was solely concerned with bullying. So we struck bullying or from that policy since it was basically dealing with gang activity anyway. So we only struck out those two words, bullying and the word or. But we did add a cross-reference from our own policies, which are the new policy about bullying and its regulation. We inserted the bullying policy as it came from the State Department with the verbiage from the Virginia School Board Association, as well as it being tweaked by a committee of personnel and other people, I think that is correct, in our division as well as the community. I'm not going to read it verbatim. I will say it says in the beginning, the school board acknowledges the existence of bullying in the school and community and prohibits such conduct on school grounds, on school buses, any school-sponsored activity, or at a location where it can later cause a disruption or interferes with the safety and welfare of the school and its students. It cites on down the standards of student conduct where it is listed in there with the consequences. It cites the General Assembly's Code of Virginia from 2013 explaining what bullying is, and the 3 types of bullying, which include physical, verbal, emotional, and cyber bullying. And then, of course, it does give the legal references from the Code of Virginia as well. The next policy that has any changes to it actually is a brand-new policy, again, coming from the State Department with the verbiage from the Virginia School Boards Association. The policy and the 2 regulations that go with it that we've already read pretty much and discussed previously, which are the restraint and seclusion of students policy and the 2 regulations, which are basically the forms that are used with those incidents when there has been restraint and or seclusion of students. It goes through what physical restraint is, mechanical restraint, what seclusion means, all the legal references, and we changed the wording from the Virginia School Boards Association with a time span, which previously was 15 days acknowledgement of the incident or getting in touch with the parents, and we made it to more reflect what we thought was better, where it says documentation and notice to parents. Every reasonable effort will be made to contact a parent or guardian by phone within 24 hours of an incident, and a log will be kept of all call attempts. A parent guardian will also be notified in writing by letter sent via USPS certified mail within 3 Danville Public Schools business days after any use of physical restraint or seclusion resulting in observed physical injury to the student. And the regulations, we put the call log right into the regulation that has to be filled out by the person involved in the incident, or by the employee involved in the incident. Next, we had a policy 2083. It was titled Spectator Behavior, and we changed that title to Student and Adult Spectator Behavior. And where within the policy it had the word spectators or student, we inserted students and adult spectators. So it could be applied to anybody attending any event with Danville Public Schools. The next policy, 2110.00, administering medicines to students. We had new guidelines from the State Department about diabetes administration, and in the section of the policy that is Roman numeral 3, self-administration of medication, it already covered exceptions for asthma and auto-injectable epinephrine, and we inserted the words "and diabetes medicine." Then we entered a new section with the wording from the Virginia School Boards Association for Roman numeral 6, self-administration of diabetes medication, and it says each enrolled student who is diagnosed with diabetes with parental consent and written approval from the prescriber is permitted to A, carry with him and use supplies including a reasonable and appropriate short-term supply of carbohydrates, an insulin pump, and equipment for immediate treatment of high and low blood glucose levels, and B, self-check his own blood glucose levels on school buses, on school property, and at school-sponsored activities. Then in the regulation for administering medicines to students, we inserted the same verbiage in the section about administration of insulin and glucagon. Glucagon? Thank you. What I just read, so I won't read it again. We inserted letter D in the last section there with the same wording. And then the last change is to policy 2200.00 about guidance
and counseling program, we decided we needed to not only list legal references from the Code of Virginia, but also the cross-references for the policies and regulations in our policy manual, so they would be readily available to anybody who needed to see it. And that is that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you so much, Ms.
Out of
Bryant.
this stack. Thank you for letting me speak, by the way.
Are there questions or comments for Ms. Bryant relative to the policies that you've just heard under first reading? All right, then, Ms. Bryant, would you tell us the time frame for the next steps in bringing these policies officially into the policy manual?
Yes, at our work session this month, we will have the public hearing, and then 30 days later, at the next work session, we will be having the second reading, and we will also hopefully approve them at that time.
Right. And so we enter now into the required time for public awareness and potential public comment. Ms. Jordan will have the appropriate documents put out, because it does require an official notice in the newspaper. And so the opportunity to speak to the board about any of the policies in Section 2000 would be at our work session 2 weeks from tonight at 6 o'clock in this same room. Or you may certainly send letters or email or use any other means of communication that you find appropriate to give us your thinking on any of the changes that have been proposed, or perhaps changes that we should have looked at that we overlooked. So thank you and the members of the policy committee for keeping that moving.
I think they're already posted on our website. If somebody wants to look them up, you go to school board section and look under school policies and procedures.
Very good. Any other comments from board members on the policy revisions? All right, then we will now move to 10.2 on the update on the superintendent search. The board heard from our consultants the last Monday in November, and as you may have read in the paper, the consultants brought us information on 6 candidates that they felt were well matched with the superintendent qualifications that this board had approved earlier in the fall. As required under Virginia Code, I officially announced tonight that across the next 15 days, which would be Friday, December 5th through Friday, December 19th, at undisclosed locations and at undisclosed times, this board will be meeting in closed session for interview of candidates, evaluation of candidates, and contract negotiation with the chosen candidate. We had previously announced that, but the 15 days that started on that previous announcement wouldn't carry us quite far enough into December, so we have to announce it again tonight. I will also add that, as is permitted under state law, we reserve the possibility of visiting any or all candidates' current locations without any further public notice. So I trust you all understand the confidential nature of the search as had been announced early in the fall, and rest assured that the board is working very hard day and night to make sure that we find the best possible superintendent for Danville Public Schools. Are there any comments from board members at this point? Then the process continues for the next 15 days, and we thank you for that. We now move to an action item, 11.1, the personnel recommendations, and Dr. Jennings had a commitment elsewhere this evening representing Danville Public Schools, and so Mona Whittle is going to make the presentation of the personnel actions. Ms. Whittle.
Thank you, Dr. Polhamus, and good evening to everyone. The Department of Human Resources has prepared a set of personnel recommendations for your review this evening. Any questions?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
I have one question. Ms. Whittle, case number 8, was that position publicly advertised or was that filled internally?
It was posted.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Anyone else?
Number 5, do we have any prospects for getting that one filled as soon as possible?
I've already met with the principal, and right now we're looking at interviewing 4 or 5 possible applicants.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Ms. Hall?
07,
Mhm.
will we be replacing that individual?
We will.
Okay,
We actually already have someone in the pipeline.
thank you.
Yes.
We've actually interviewed.
Okay, great, good to hear. Thank you.
Other questions or comments on the personnel recommendation? All right, this is an action item for us this evening. What is your pleasure?
Mr. Chair, I move we approve.
Second.
Thank you very much. Dr. Campbell made the motion and Ms. Hughes seconded that. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask Liz to call the roll, please.
Mrs. Hall,
Yes.
Ms. Hughes,
Yes.
Dr. Polhamus,
Yes.
Mr. Gould,
Yes.
Ms. Jones,
Yes.
Ms. Bryant,
Yes.
Dr. Campbell.
Yes.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Thank you so much, Ms. Whittle. All right, we now scroll on down and we come to an action item 15.1. Excuse me. This is a requested addendum to the letter of understanding that we have with BWP Associates. It was presented to me by the head of our search consulting team, and you have the document there in your packet on the computer. Basically, the reason for this document it involves the extra things that the consultants did above and beyond what they normally do. You might recall that when we initially set up the 2 days for community engagement with various groups, that in order to make it more feasible for teacher groups to be well represented, we asked them to come in Sunday evening before they officially started Monday on their 2 days. So they put in a full evening with 2 different groups representing teachers that evening. And then because we ran into a scheduling conflict with the majority of council members who were going to be away at a conference during the 2 scheduled days, we specifically asked the consultants to come back a 3rd day so that we could include the members of council and some other important folks. So that's a big piece of this. Then in addition, in order to assure that they had face-to-face knowledge of the candidates that they might bring to us, they decided and had discussed with us ahead of time the possibility of having a drive-in meeting with 3 or 4 of the candidates with whom they'd never worked personally before. And so there were some costs associated with that as well. Now, if you add up all the costs that are included in this little presentation, it comes to much more than what they are really asking for there in the next to last paragraph. Their final request basically is $2,000 increase above the original RFP amount. So what is, well, before we put a motion on the floor, let's see if there are any questions. Yes, Mr. Gould.
2 questions, Mr. Chairman. have we discussed this request with the future of the Piedmont?
We have not discussed it specifically, no.
My other question is, were these potential additional costs raised with you or with anyone as our consultants were working, or did these come, was this addendum the first notice that we had of these additional costs?
It was the first official notice. They did mention to me in discussing that possible Saturday drive-in that they expected some relatively small costs associated with reimbursing mileage for the candidates and for one of the consultants who was going to be driving from a distance. I do not recall that there was any mention of cost when we asked them back for that third community engagement day. That one I'm a bit fuzzy on. It's been a while back.
I'll just say this gives me heartburn. I don't think this is, well, I'll just say this gives me heartburn.
Okay. All right. Other comments?
I have to agree. I think if it was communicated from the beginning, I would have felt a whole lot better about it if we had been aware of these additional costs. So, yeah, I have to agree with Mr. Gould. Gives me heartburn as well.
I don't, at this point, have heartburn, but I certainly agree.
Mr. Chairman.
Understood.
May we,
Yeah.
There's a certain component of this that I think would be appropriate to discuss with council in closed session.
Okay.
Just the legal aspects of it.
All right. Then one possibility, since we have it listed as an action item, would be to table this until the work session 2 weeks from tonight, and then have discussion with Mr. Spencer this evening when we go into closed session.
Mr. Chair, I move we table this item and revisit at the work session.
All right, we have a motion from Ms. Hall with a second from Ms. Hughes to table this motion until the work session 2 weeks from tonight. Does everyone understand the wording?
Yes.
Everyone, okay. All right. Most importantly, Ms. Jordan, do you have the wording?
I do.
Okay. Until the work session. All right, any discussion on the motion to table this addendum? Yes, ma'am.
I have a request, if at all possible. It's been a while since I saw the original.
Okay.
I was wondering if at our work session we could have the original to look at and compare if there was any wording in it that specified additional costs as we discuss it and look at this.
Yes, indeed.
Mr. Chair, could I get the motion again?
My motion?
The motion is to table this item until the work session on December 18th,
Yes.
with an understanding that we will include discussion with, consultation with our attorney tonight to be able to go through some of the details.
All right.
Yes, I believe we can find the original proposal and make sure that that's available. We might be able to find it in time for the work session, for the closed session tonight, but certainly by the work session. And it does have some kind of language about additional expenses, but I wouldn't want to try to recall exactly how it's phrased.
Well, that's why I wanted, because in the
Right.
recesses of this old brain, I thought there may have been, but I wasn't going to try to remember
Understood.
it.
All right, so the motion is to table this proposal until the work session. Everyone understand the motion? All right, then Ms. Jordan, will you please call the roll?
Dr. Polhamus?
Yes.
Mr. Gould?
Yes.
Ms. Downs?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Dr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
All right. Then, the next action we have here is the resolution concerning the funding of public education in Virginia. Each of the board members has this two-page resolution in their documents, and I would ask before we start taking action on it, whether anyone would like for us to read the entire thing to the audience here, or whether we'll just make sure that it's available on the website. That seems to be the preference.
Yes.
All right. Basically, this resolution is directed towards the General Assembly and has to do with the funding of quality public education pre-K through 12, even in difficult economic times for the Commonwealth. So, what is your pleasure on the resolution?
Chair, I move we approve.
Second.
We have a motion from Dr. Campbell with a second from Mr. Jones. Excuse me, I've done it again. Mr. Gould. Oh, my fault. All right, Dr. Campbell with Mr. Gould seconding to adopt the resolution this evening. Any discussion? All right, then please call the roll.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
Dr. Polhamus?
Yes.
Mr. Gould?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Dr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
All right, and while I go back to the agenda, I will apologize to Ms. Dones. All right, let's see here. At this point, unless I'm missing something again, I believe we're ready for the comments.
Mr.
Ms.
Chair,
Hall.
did we overlook the budget update information from Ms. Cass?
That was pulled from the
Oh,
agenda.
I'm sorry, I missed that. Okay. Thank you. I saw it earlier.
All right, anything else to come before the board before we go into our comments? All right, then we will start with Mr. Spencer.
No, I don't have any comments.
All right, and then we'll turn to our superintendent, Dr. Osborne.
I would like to wish everyone a very, very joyful holiday season.
Me too.
That's not fair.
All right. Ms. Jordan, who gets to follow that?
I don't know. Okay. Ms. Bryant?
Of course it's me. I'll ditto Alan. I hope everybody has a wonderful holiday season. I hope the next couple of weeks or so of school goes swimmingly well, and that the next time we see you, we have wonderful news to share with you. Thank you for all that you do for Danville Public Schools.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes, I'd like to congratulate Galileo, the Galileo Falcons, their coaches and players, parents, staff, and all their fans who have supported them through the season. You all make us very, very proud. I'd like to also thank Dr. Osborne for all her efforts in working with Dr. Sism and DCC city leaders in moving the precision machining program forward. This is very exciting for Danville Public Schools and for the community's economic development. So thank you for that. And remind everyone of the Christmas parade coming up. We have the pleasure of participating in that. Please come out and support the community. And I too want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. I hope all of our employees have a restful break and come back rested for the new year. So, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Gould?
I'll just right off the bat echo everyone else's holiday wishes. This has just been a great couple of weeks for all of our students in the district. Our student athletes excel in all sports, and we've got such talented musicians. Our band and symphony orchestra at GW have concerts this week. Our ACE team just wrapped up their season earlier this week, I believe, and we're just really blessed to have an abundance of very talented and gifted students in our schools, and they reflect so well on us, and that's all I've got.
Dr. Campbell?
I want to also congratulate the cross-country team, and for my colleagues. You know, we were just in Williamsburg, and some of them didn't think I was going to do the 5K, and I did. Came in 12th place out of 72 contestants. And Miss Bryant, she had some of the pictures of some of the other things that we participated in. But just in case you need someone else to help you with the cross country next year, give me a call. Be more than glad to help you. Also to George Washington Eagles. I think Dr. Polhamus, myself, we traveled to Salem, Virginia, and we didn't get the W, but we did make it to the playoffs. And so I think, without a shadow of a doubt, those young men did a wonderful job. And we look forward to great things happening in the future. Stephen Gould just mentioned about the band and, this past week, and that was a wonderful experience also. I would just like to say, it's been mentioned for everyone to have a wonderful Christmas holiday. But I want to say also to my colleagues that I hope that you all will have a wonderful and blessed holiday. And it's been a pleasure to be able to work with you. And I'm sure it's also been a pleasure for you to work with me. And so, to Dr. Polhamus, personally, I said to you last year that for our comments with Diane that I would have the best tie on for the Christmas holidays. So thank you for allowing me to have the best tie tonight. Sharon says she has something in store for us next year. I look forward to that. Maybe it'll be a bow tie. Maybe not. But thank you all. It's been a pleasure being able to work with you all, and everybody have a safe holiday. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Ms. Jones?
I can't follow that.
I'd just like to say congratulations to the cross-country team, but also we're proud of all of our students in the district. And to my colleagues, DPS staff, everybody, have a safe and prosperous holiday season, and I look forward to working with everyone in the new year.
Ms. Hughes?
Ditto to everything that's been said. I would like to congratulate also the Glee Club, Galileo, for doing a wonderful job with their program. There was a parent literacy night held at Langston Focus School cafeteria on the 1st of December, and I understand there was a very good turnout for that. I want to congratulate the staff for doing such a wonderful job with that. And Kelly Starling Lyons was the featured author that night, and we hope to continue having such wonderful outreach so that the parents can get involved with the students. And we know that when that happens, it only helps to encourage our students to do better and show them the importance of literacy. And I hope everyone has a very joyful holiday season.
Dr. Polhamus?
I would like to echo all of the positive comments that my colleagues have made, with one exception, and that is that to declare himself the winner of the holiday tie is just a tad presumptuous. And I will leave it to the viewers of the Chalk Talk video to determine for themselves who indeed has the finest holiday tie for 2014. And I want to say to our audience, both here in person and who might be watching the video later, that while we have been under a lot of stress this fall with so many things happening, and with the added burdens of all the meetings and time spent relative to a superintendent search, it has had some wonderful side effects. It has allowed the 7 of us to spend more time together. And we have had some good times together, and I'm so appreciative that we can have good times when we're spending that much time in each other's company. So to each of you, very fine holiday season. Get some rest and relaxation, spend time with friends and family, recharge those batteries, including this battery here, and be ready for a very productive 2015. Thank you all for being here tonight.
I move that this meeting of the school board of the City of Danville, Virginia be recessed for 15 minutes.
Second.
Always have to get this position.
We have a motion to recess for 15 minutes. Any discussion? All right, let's call the roll, please.
Mr. Gould?
Yes.
Ms. Jones?
Yes.
Ms. Bryant?
Yes.
Dr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Hall?
Yes.
Ms. Hughes?
Yes.
Dr. Polhamus?
Yes. We are in recess.